There, okay, we're officially live. There's some things that just don't always fit into one little category. It's like, a lot of times I try to teach things in a logical fashion. There's some things that don't always fit, right? I never quite know where to teach this. And I thought I'd teach it now. It's not a hard thing to do, but it's a really important thing to understand how to do. It's a little weird at first, and it's important that it's all in everybody's notes, because since I don't use the book for this class, if you don't have it in your notes, you won't have it anywhere, right? You won't know how to do this on homework, right? An absolute value, first of all, an absolute value is shown by putting straight lines on either side of a number. So if I said the absolute value of 4, the answer to that is 4. Now I'm guessing some of you have used absolute value before, am I right? All right, what is the absolute value of negative 4?
4.
Positive 4, isn't that weird? That's weird.
We did this in 5th.
Okay, so has anybody not done this? Have I taught this?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys all know this, right?
Yeah. Then let's just do absolute value question.
Okay.
No, Gary, you briefly went over it.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to explain what absolute value is. Absolute value, this is the definition. Absolute value is the distance away from 0, or the distance from 0, either way. Okay?
That
so,
totally
for
makes
example,
sense.
For example, if I have a number line and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, right? All right. Here's 0, right? This right here is 0. Okay. Right here, I have 3. What is the absolute value of 3? In other words, how far away from 0 is 3?
3.
It's 3 units, right? 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's 3. Now, if I had -3, and I said, what's the absolute value of -3? In other words, how far is -3 away from 0?
3.
It's 3 units. 1, 2, 3. So it's always positive. If the value inside is negative, it's positive. If it's positive, it's positive. Does that make sense? It's always positive. You never have a negative distance, right? Because when you're talking about absolute value, you're talking about a distance. You can't have a negative distance. From here to here is a positive distance. From here to here is also a positive distance, right?
But can't you put like a negative sign outside and the 2 lines can make it a
You could do that. If I put a negative here, then that would make, even though that's a positive 4, now it's a negative 4, right? If I put a negative here, even though the absolute value of 4 is 4,
then you'd have to
the
make
negative makes it negative. Yes, that's true. Now, sometimes you are given equations using absolute values and using variables. And I love doing these. They're really fun. But let's say I gave you something like this. Let's start easy. The absolute value of x is equal to 10.
Then the absolute value.
So the question is, what could I put inside this to make this true?
-10 or -10.
I could, 2 possibilities, right? I could say that x could either be 10 or x could be -10, the opposite of this. Don't you agree with me? Because the absolute value of positive 10 is 10, and the absolute value of -10 is also 10. Does that make sense? Does everybody see that? So I actually have 2 answers. So what I could do is this. I take this, I rewrite it without the absolute value signs. I go like this: x equals, and I write exactly what's there, 10. So my first one is exactly what's here without the absolute value sign. and then I write the word or. So you writing this down, Weston? You're going to need this in your notes.
Yeah, I've got
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Do we have this for homework tonight?
Or you do the same thing. You say x and equals, but then now you just take this value and turn it negative. Negative 10.
Can we say x equals 10 or negative 10?
I want you to do it this way right now because you're going to see why. Okay? Just trust me. So now I'm going to use that same thing for a more complicated problem. It's not that much more complicated, but watch. Let's say I have x plus 2. The absolute value of x plus 2 is equal to 12. Okay?
Then the absolute value
So
would be 10.
do you guys all agree with me that that x plus 2 could either, the value inside those absolute values could either be a positive 12 or a negative 12?
Yeah.
Don't you agree with me? X
You
plus
mean
2
10?
could equal
Yeah,
positive
10.
12,
Okay.
and then the absolute of positive 12 would be 12. Or x plus 2 could equal negative 12, right? You get that? Does that make sense? This value here could also be negative 12, right? And somebody's hitting their chair. I don't know who, so let's stop that. X plus 2 could be negative 12, and then the absolute value of negative 12 would still be 12. So you write two equations. Always write two equations. So this is important. Always write two equations. Always. Okay? Always write two equations. The first one is exactly what you see without the absolute value sign. Is that clear? First one is exactly what you see without the absolute value sign. So the first one is x plus 2 equals 12. Right? And then I write the word or. This is important. You have to write the word or. Okay? Don't try to simplify this method. Do what I'm saying. Okay? And then, would you agree with me that x plus 2 could also equal negative 12? The value of this could be negative 12. That would be the absolute value of negative 12 would be 12. So I'm going to write the same thing again, only after the equal sign, I'm going to put negative 12. X plus 2 equals negative 12. And then I solve for x. Does that make sense? So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, right? And then I have x is equal to 10. And over here, now a lot of people think, oh, well, x is 10 or negative 10, right? But no, that's not how it works. Subtract 2, we have x is equal to negative 14. Look at that. So I have two answers for this. Two answers would make this actually a true statement. When x were 10, 10 plus 2 is 12. The absolute value of 12 is 12. Or when x is negative 14. Negative 14 plus 2 is negative 12. Absolute value of negative 12 is positive 12, right? So I have two answers. So have you guys written that down yet? Can I erase it yet?
No, wait.
All right, I'll wait. I want to do one more problem just to make sure you're ready for it. Let me just see. Let's try. Can I erase now? This is going to be homework. So I'm erasing. If you need it, you just look on your neighbors. Okay. So here we go. One more. So let's say I had the absolute value of 2x minus 1, okay, equals 13. Okay? So I am going to write the first equation, always two equations, right? Always two equations. The first one is exactly what you see without the absolute value sign. So 2x minus 1 is equal to 13. Now I do not want anybody to do this all in their head. Gabe, you have to write it all out. I'm telling you. You have to write it out. You will get nailed so badly in high school if you don't start writing things out. You have to, right. You can make so many mistakes with these if you don't write them out. Trust me. It's really not so easy. I know you can do it, but you've got to write it out. You've got to learn to show your work. Many teachers would mark you off if you don't show your work, even if you got the right answer. Right? So you've got to learn to show your work. So now we're going to add 1 first. And I have 2x is equal to 14. And then I can divide by 2. Divide by 2. x is equal to 7. Here, I would add 1 to both sides. And I have 2x is equal to negative 12 divided by 2, x is equal to negative 6. So your answer is this. This is your answer. X is equal to 7 or x is equal to negative 6. So there's always two answers to absolute value equations, okay? Eventually, we may do some graphing. If you graphed one, this is what a graph would look like for an absolute value. It would be something like this. Because it always bounces back. Because absolute value, if it's negative, if x is negative, y is still positive.
Like
See what I'm
that
saying?
there.
That's why you have that V shape.
Is that V slope?
I don't know. These are not absolute values. That is a parabola. That is not a V. That's more like a U, right? Kind of thing. This is a straight line V kind of thing. That's what it's going to look like when we graph absolute value.
What is that called? V slope?
Say what?
Is it called V slope? Like, what is this slope called?
Oh, it's called a absolute value graph.
Absolute value.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't really have a name that I know of. So that is it. So the homework tonight is going to be practicing this and practicing a little more of your exponent rules. There will be, let me think here, if we need to retake the quiz. Yeah, we do have to retake that quiz.
Are you going to have to do 2 quizzes?
I think I'm going to have,
Did you turn that off?
oh yeah, no I didn't.